Conti, bella palla per Rebic, Ibra, Rebic, il tiro, goal!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
What's up, guys? I'm here. I'm always here. We got everyone with us today.
I'm here as well.
Yeah, Jan's here as well. We've got the four Musketeers back at it again, which is great. We've got 2 games to recap, a game to preview. It's been, what did we say, 11 days since we last recorded, because we switched onto a new recording schedule now. We're going to record on Sunday nights, which should be good moving forward, because there'll be a lot of times when we'll have just watched a game and it'll be good for reactionary takes and stuff. But we haven't had a game for a few days now because we play Cagliari tomorrow night. So that's just the way it works. Then we've got Atalanta next Saturday tea time, which is rubbish. You know, I'd rather not have to work a Saturday tea time, but it is what it is.
Is that when it is? We got an early game?
Saturday at 5 Italian time. Oh, no, 5 UK time. So it's really not ideal for a Saturday, you know.
Oh, no.
There you go. The home of up-to-date punditry.
What time is that for us, Anthony? Well, for us,
well,
I'm 2 hours before you, but...
For me, wait, which game are we talking about?
That's a noon game. It's only
Guys,
10 a.m.
Yeah, that's not
like
bad
2 hours.
That's 10 a.m. for me.
2 hours earlier.
Our
from
earliest
now.
game from here on out is going to be the
Exactly,
derby at
John.
7 a.m.
Why are they working it out this way? It's just 2 hours minus 2 hours.
No, I know. I'm looking at the rest of the schedule now. The derby's at 7 a.m. Why are we doing the derby at early?
I don't know. I still think there's a half a chance that gets moved.
Yeah,
I know
it's
that
at 7 a.m. We're going to lose.
And well, do you remember the derby that we had where we changed the time for the Chinese audience when we both had Chinese ownership?
Yeah, that was
Pat 97. That was great. That cracked a beer straight after the game, and it was like, I don't know, 2 o'clock. So yeah, we got a couple of games to recap, both against Torino. We wanted to bounce back with 2 wins after we were all a bit down from the Juve episode, and we got them. I guess, yeah, it's still a win. I mean, it was on penalties, our second penalty shootout of the season. But we'll start with the league game that was on the Saturday. So we scored both goals in the first half. First one, Leao, nice finish when put through 1-on-1 by Brahim Diaz, and then Brahim Diaz won a penalty because Agent Belotti did us a favour and chopped him down in the area, and then Kessier put it away. And from then on, it was pretty damn comfortable.
Yeah, it was an easy game. I hate to say that there's not much to report on it, but there really isn't. It was straightforward. Right one football.
Yeah, it was much easier than I expected it to go. I thought it was going to be a much harder game, but
me and you both predicted a 2-0 win. Jam predicted a draw, and he kind of got it.
I said 2-1. I thought they would get at least 1 goal because they had been scoring in previous games, but yeah, they didn't do anything in either match. So whatever.
Well, I ended up in the preview. I ended up putting 2-1 because I thought Belotti is obviously going to score. It's like an audition game for him almost, but in the end he didn't. We did well. I think clean sheets are important at this point because they've not actually been as abundant as we would like. You know, we have
more
been
abundant than any other team though. Donnarumma, the most in Serie A.
Gigio, yeah, he's got 6. Yeah, which is good. So hope for another
tomorrow
as well.
He has 80 in his career now. Sorry, I'm bouncing everywhere.
He's 21.
No, I said he has 80. He has 80 clean sheets in his career.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's got 80 clean sheets at 21 years old. That is obscene.
He's 80. No, he's 21.
He's 80 years old.
He's finished. No, he's 28.
Get him out of here.
Yeah. So, yeah, clean sheet, good for morale. I guess there was no, disappointing performances, obviously, because clean sheet and an easy win. One thing I will say is I've been critical of Brahim Diaz in recent weeks. But I think that was probably his best game for us. Was the game against Torino. Obviously, he got an assist for the opening goal. Kind of got a semi-assist because he won the penalty to put us 2-0 up. He just sat in that hole. Obviously, Çalhanoğlu wasn't deemed fit enough to start, but he just sat in that hole. And him and Leao seemed to have a pretty good chemistry. Quite like the runs that Leao was making, which obviously led to the opener. And then Brahim just did what he was good at. He has a low centre of gravity, gets the ball, turns, finds space. Criticised his decision making in the past few episodes. Said that he needs to pick his head up more when he's in possession. But I can't really fault him for that performance. I thought he was probably our man of the match.
Yeah, for that game, I think he was fairly good. Decision making was a lot better, like you said, in previous weeks, and it just shows what he has got in his locker and what he's capable of. But then, as I'm sure we'll go on to it in the cup match against Torino, where he showed his Jekyll and Hyde performances.
Yeah, funny, innit? You play the same team twice in a few days, having beaten them comfortably in the first game. And I know we had our chances in that cup game, but it was so frustrating for us to not be able to score, despite throwing on the names that we did to try and win it inside 90 minutes.
Especially with the names that they had.
Twice. Yeah,
I don't even know most of the players they had.
They weren't bothered.
It was a youth team.
They wanted to go out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny though, because obviously they'll go down as 2 losses to Milan, and now after yesterday's 0-0 draw, Gianpaolo's been sacked. So we've kind of put the nail in his coffin again there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the cup game, and we said it on the midweek Periscope, like we made changes to the back four, we made changes in midfield, and it was a youthful group of forwards, let's say. The key was always just to get through, and we knew that we had almost a week off because the Cagliari game isn't until Monday. So it didn't kill us having the extra 30 minutes. And I think penalty shootouts, if you win them, and I know this sounds daft, but if you win penalty shootouts, they can actually have a really good impact on morale, because we sent up obviously, who took them? Çalhanoğlu,
Romagnoli, Finale,
Kessie,
and
there was one more. But anyway, like Tonali, for example, I thought he actually had a pretty decent game, did what he's good at. And then for him to score an emphatic penalty the way he did, that was great.
And Teo was the other one.
Yeah.
Kessie, Teo,
so we sent up Tonali aside, the senior members of the squad, and they just got the job done for us. And I will also give full marks to Tatarashanu, who hasn't put a foot wrong since that Roma game. He genuinely hasn't. He's not conceded a goal since. So
he hasn't played that much, but
fair play to him.
One game.
Yeah, one or
no, he's played in
two,
Europa.
Two.
He's played 4 games now, I think. He's got 3 clean sheets out of 4.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. Playing in Europa, didn't he? I think it was the Sparta Prague when we won 1-0. So yeah,
he did scare me though.
More and more
there was one cross in that in the cup game where he just like one-handed caught it, and it's a sick thing to do in like basketball or something, but it looked really scary here. I thought it was.
It was exactly the same as the Roma thing, wasn't it? If he hadn't got a full hand on it, header, bang, we're losing.
OBJ catching the touchdown one hand. No one watches that. The other football, okay.
Odell Beckham
you don't
Jr.
even watch the other
for the
football.
Giants.
How do you know about that?
I just found out that it was the playoffs yesterday, and then I saw the teams, and I was like, "What? Yeah, I don't watch it."
Does Odell Beckham still play?
He's on the Browns, I think.
Browns, yeah, who apparently are good. Yeah.
First time in my lifetime that they've ever been good. Anyway, back to proper football. Got it done in the league, got it done in the cup. We've got Inter because Inter beat Fiorentina 2-1 after extra time in the other game. In about 40 minutes, Inter will kick off against Juve, so we'll know if we have the chance to go more points clear tomorrow. We were having a little bit of a discussion beforehand about it. I think we want that to be a draw.
Yeah, that's the ideal result.
Yeah, I'll be happy with Inter win. Inter winning.
Yeah, honestly, because I don't know if we're going to win the second game versus Inter in the league, and I want Juve to win today just as an insurance for that game in case they beat us,
I'll be totally honest, and this is my hot take for the episode. I would rather Inter win than Juve, because Juve will become a problem very quickly if they start to. They will have then beaten us and beaten Inter within 3 games, and they're starting to pick up a run of speed now.
Yeah, but the way I'm looking at it is they had that game in hand against Napoli, but they're 7 points behind. They beat Napoli, they beat Inter, they're still behind us. We could lose 2 games and still be ahead of them. So I don't know.
That's
not
true,
too
but
worried
then
about
you think about Juve will have won 2 very tough games in quick succession, and then we've got Atalanta, and it looks like we're going to be facing them as a wounded team again. So let's say we drop points in that game and Juve win their easier game, and all of a sudden it's like they're there, they're right behind us.
But maybe
I am just a bit
Atalanta's
worried.
wounded again because they just drew 0-0 to Genoa today.
Did they?
Yeah, no goals.
They couldn't score against Genoa. Oh my God, they're going to score 5 against us. They've been saving them all for us.
Yeah.
That's a bad result. Ballardini's actually doing a half decent job though back at Genoa. He might bail them out this year, even though I picked him to go down. So yeah, we'll know what we can do. Sorry,
Atalanta have got a game on Wednesday, so they won't be as fresh.
Oh, that's
They've got a midweek game.
Who do they play midweek?
Udinese. At Udinese.
Yeah, and then us 3 days later. That's kind of nice.
Udinese is never easy to play against. They always give you a run for their money.
I like Udinese for some reason. I've got a bit of a soft spot for the way that they play. They've got some good players. Hopefully they do a job. But it looks like next few games we're going to be struggling a little bit again in terms of depth, because even though Salamanca's and Ibra will start against Cagliari, Benacer will probably be back for the Atalanta game, which is massive. We've got Swaliho, Meite to talk about as well, which we will, but he's in for midfield depth. We got all of that, and then of course we get 4 positive COVID cases in the space of a week. So just when we're looking all right numerically again, we get 4 hammer blows. Well, Krunic not so much, but Ante Rebic is important system player, as we know. Although left wing position we're fine, we know that we're a better team with his pressing and with his attacking endeavour and the way that he plays with Teo. But then that doesn't matter because Teo's got COVID and so has Hakan Çalhanoğlu. So you remove 2 of our 5 best players there in one fell swoop. That's really disappointing. I'm interested to see what happens. There's been a lot of.
We've been playing it without some of our best players essentially all season.
Yeah,
and
I think this gives Brahim. Go.
I was just gonna say if we have to lose Teo, then it's. If we have to lose Teo, then at least we have Zlatan back. That's all I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this gives Brahim a good chance to come and play with Zlatan and show what he can really do. But also, what about playing Kalu in his natural position and then Calabria where Teo plays?
I think we can do that, or we have yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I think Dallo will play left back, maybe Kalu on the right, or it's probably gonna be Calabria still. But I would like to see Kalu. I think he's been in great form. I really like him. The other big bonus that we haven't mentioned yet.
He's been fantastic.
A little man named Mario Mandzukic is going to be here. So,
he's not going to bench Zlatan in his first game, though.
No, but he could play wing. He could get on the wing.
If you have layout, if you have
he's
layout
so
on
slow.
Wing, he played left wing, and then Mandzukic coming on.
I don't know where people get this idea from that he's ever going to play as a winger for us, because we have 3 left wingers.
Anthony, where'd you get that idea from?
Yeah, I get it, but he's now 34. He's not as mobile as he once was.
40.
I know he has played. What's more likely, surely, if we want him to play Mandzukic and Ibra at the same time, is we probably take out a holding midfielder and throw them both up front together to get 2 bastards in the area. But yeah, it's an interesting one. So hang on, we'll do Cagliari prediction and then we'll do the signings. So I've looked at Cagliari's form. I've done the preview just before we hopped on this. I had no idea. They won 3 out of the first 7 games. They've got Di Francesco, who was at Roma. They won 3 out of the first 7 games and were nearly in the top half. They haven't won since the 7th game of the season. They've lost their last 4. And they're just above the relegation zone. They are really not good at the moment. And they keep losing to teams. Watch out for. They keep losing to teams around them. They've got the worst defensive record outside of teams in the bottom 3, and it's only just better than those. They seem to be falling apart pretty quickly, which I'm surprised about because they've still got quality players. Like they've got Nandes, Nainggolan's back there now, which we need to watch out for. But they've got João Pedro, who's got 10 goals already in the league this season. But I guess it seems they don't really have much else. They've got about 6 players out. They've got COVID cases. They've got Clavan out for the rest of the season. So I think they've been a bit unlucky in a way. But I still don't back us to keep a clean sheet for some reason. I just don't. So I'm good. I say 2-1 to us.
Yeah, I think 3-1. I think this is pretty straightforward. We might make a mistake, and João Pedro might get one, or Nangolan might get some. Guys, he played since he went back, because he just arrived like a week ago, didn't
he? Yeah, almost. I don't think he's played since he's been back now.
Yeah, so this will probably be his first
3-0.
game.
Nangolan played last week, I think.
Oh, he did?
Oh, did he?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go 3-0. We haven't, I think out of our last 10 games, I would having a look, we've lost once. And they haven't scored past us in their last 3 matches against us. So I'm going to go 3-0. Ibra double.
We think Spallemente is going to be playing
double.
this game, right?
Who is?
Our new dude, Spallemente.
Spallemente. He's going to be included in the squad, definitely, but I'd be surprised if he starts, because he kind of got banished towards the end of his time at Torino once it became apparent that he wasn't going to be staying. Gianpaolo just didn't use him, so I don't think he'll be 90 minutes fit anyway. Although the athlete that he is, you never know, he might be. But yeah, I think he might come on, but I don't think he'll start, because we got Kessie and Tonali, so the midfield double pivot.
Oh,
really
I don't know why I thought
itself.
Tonali was still out. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think if I think if we get the game finished off at half time, then he might get a full half next to Tonali and rest Kessie, so he's fully fit for Atalanta.
Agreed.
I hope so, but he has only had. Has he had one train? Has he even had a training session, Meite? I guess he'll have had yesterday.
He'll have today, won't he? Was he trained today?
Okay, did Teo
this morning?
play with the team or practice with its team?
So this is what I was going to come on to about the COVID thing. It's very, very strange. Like, the entire thing is strange, because on Friday night, it came out on Friday morning. It got tweeted that there were 2 positive COVID cases. There were no names named or anything. To be honest, it's bang out of order. Journalists shouldn't be doing that when it comes to, you can't speculate on the health of players. You know, it seems like everybody else has, all the others, you know, Anto Vitiello, everybody has said, we're not going to put stuff out when it comes to COVID cases. It needs to come from the club. And then, of course, come out later in the day from Sky that there were no new positive cases. And then fast forward, Çalhanoğlu didn't train yesterday, Saturday, and that's all we knew. It sounded like, because Teo wasn't mentioned, that Teo did train yesterday. And then this morning, the club have announced that both Teo and Hakan have tested positive for COVID. So that's confusing, because did he have it the first time or not? Have we sent him back into training when he's actually positive? You know, we've done another round of tests today, and we've had to delay our departure for Sardinia because of it. And then Teo put out that statement on his social media saying that he's going to be away from training for a few days. And he actually said for a few days twice. Like, to me, I'm thinking it's 2 weeks at least. If you've got COVID, that's probably how long you're going to be away.
Yeah, but I think the CDC changed their CDC. That's only the United States. The World Health Organization changed their timeline. It was only like 10 days now or something.
So maybe that's what he means.
I could give some insight.
Go for it.
It was asymptomatic. I was as well. So you're not expressing anything, so you're not going to be contagious after a few days. Whereas if you do have symptoms, it lasts longer. So for him, it should only be 10 days total of no symptoms. Then he's clear. That's what I was told here in the States. And I think Italy's a bit more lax than that. So it might actually just be a few days.
Yeah, me and Jan were talking about this and saying how Gigio and Hauger seem to come back pretty quick from it. I didn't realise that once you test positive on the swab test, they then do a follow-up, which is a molecular test. A molecular test is much more detailed in the sense that it doesn't tell you just positive or negative. It tells you your viral load. And my theory is that Teo has a low viral load, and therefore he might be back in a few days, because obviously it's quicker to get rid of, quicker to get out of your system if you've got a lower viral load. So we'll see.
And he said he's still going to be training at home, which to me is wild. I mean, obviously he's in significantly better physical shape than I am, but I went back to the gym as soon as I was cleared too, and it was exhausting, and I didn't have any symptoms. So, I think that's impressive. We'll see how he comes back, because Leao was asymptomatic and he came back tired. So we'll see.
What about Zlatan? Was he asymptomatic, or did he have?
He was asymptomatic. Is that the
I thought he had symptoms.
I thought he didn't.
He did say something though, didn't he, about I'm sure he said something in an interview about fatigue. I think tiredness is obviously is one of the symptoms, arguably, but I'm sure he said something about how the worst part of it was obviously not being able to be out there with the team, but he did feel some fatigue or something. But yeah, either way, we need them to back ASAP. I think Hakan is probably, the reason we've kept him away is because he's a bit more of a concern, but hopefully Teo is back in a few days. Hopefully they're both back in a few days. We'll see. We'll have to make do. And I suppose the positive is that we have got Dallo to go straight in at left back and Kalulu to shift to be right back cover. And then we've got Brahim, who now will probably get a run of games to show what he can do in that attacking midfield position. And who knows, that might be what he needed, a run of starts to finally get clicking with everyone around him. It'd be nice to welcome Leao back, for example, when he's unsuspended. And look, I think everything will look healthier in a week or so, especially when we get Benacer back as well. And hopefully a couple more signings in. So let's talk about signings. First one through the door, Friday afternoon. This one kind of chugged along for a few days, and then it was like we just decided, let's get this done. Swaliho Meite arrives from Torino, loan of 500k, option to buy set at 8 million, I think. 7-8 million, depending on who you believe. So the whole thing's going to come to around about just under 10 million. That's if we choose to buy him. He will come in, and most likely because of his physicality and his skill set and stuff, he'll come in to be the deputy to Kessier. And I think that's what we've been missing. I think Tonali is more of a Benacer type, more of an enterprising box-to-box kind of player. And I think Kessier, we know what he does so well. So we needed somebody to be able to put in and do that job. There's a really good tactical player analysis piece on the website at the moment, so go and check that out. It's under features, and it's all about Meite's background and what he's good at, what he needs to improve, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. I don't have any arguments with it.
Yeah, I think it's a low risk, high reward.
Yeah, I think this is the most depth that our team has had in I don't know how long. And it just shows that they're starting to build the team for Champions League, because to play in 3 competitions and have Champions League, which would, arguably be the hardest one and the most important, you're going to need the depth to compete in that while playing in the league as well.
Yeah, and I think we're getting more experience too. So I think it's looking for immediate results, like we're looking to win and keep going as opposed to we're building for the future, which is nice.
Yeah, that's why I like it. I mean, I was at the start, I never had any doubts that we weren't going to strengthen in January, but now I'm seeing the signings that we're making in Mandzukic and Meite and then potentially tomorrow. I think it does suggest now that we are going to try battle on all fronts for the Europa League, the Coppa Italia, and then actually make a go of it in the league.
Could you imagine getting a domestic treble? Or not a domestic, but getting the treble?
You can get a domestic treble if we were to then win the Super Coppa. But I think whatever you think of Tutto Sport as a source, they did do a good write-up about the 3 deals that were basically about to complete. We'll come on to the other 2. Basically saying it's not just a sign that we're serious about actually competing for the Scudetto because of the depth that we have available, but it's a pledge. It's basically Elliot saying, we have trust in what you're doing. Here's a little bit of liquidity to get a couple more players in. And now we want you to compete on all 3 fronts to get all the prize money that you possibly can. Most importantly, get Champions League for next season. And our squad, with a couple of things that we still to sort out, like the fact Dallo and Brahim are dry loans and stuff, looks pretty good in terms of depth moving forward. So I think the Meite one on its own, I think, great deal. If he, for whatever reason, looks absolutely awful, which I don't think he will. I think he's not looked as good this season because Gianpaolo's rocked up and messed about with formations just as he did with us. And he ended by playing a 3-5-2, and there's just not really a position for Meite in that. But in a double,
I wonder how long it'll take him to. I wonder how long it'll take him to get back to level. Because once Gianpaolo left us, we still needed 12, 15 games before we're like, okay, now we're back to normal. You know, we got our heads screwed on straight. But so it'll be interesting to see how badly Gianpaolo ruined him, if at all.
And the positive thing about this season is the amount of fixtures that we've actually got coming up. It won't take him that long to get up to speed.
That's true.
You would hope so.
Also, he's going to have Zlatan to kind of
that's a good
motivate him
boost.
a little bit.
I also think I have this really, really basic theory in football that players look better in better teams. So I just think he's gonna, like Benacer, he was pretty good. He was pretty bright at Empoli, but nobody thought of him as this potential African Cup of Nations player at the tournament, to become one of the best midfielders in Serie A within a year. And, he came, and once we got him going, there was no stopping him. So I do think that I think players look better in better teams. And I think he's going to be surrounded by so much more quality. Even just having a right back like Calabria, such an assured presence, a leader like Kier behind him, and then in front of him, Zlatan.
Not Romagnoli.
Not the captain. The guy next to
him. No.
Wow.
He's the captain, though. It's still vocal leadership, and I think that is still important. So that's good. Anyway, next one. I tell you, hyped about this one, AJ, because you nearly brought it up early. Mario Mandzukic. He's going to be signing. This one's gone very quickly from when we were initially linked after a meeting with his agent to then we've decided as of this morning to push the deal through, which Dimarzio said Hakan's injury has prompted us to push the deal through, which I don't really get because he would never play that position. But I think
it goes back to what you were saying earlier about Zlatan and Mario up top. Instead of taking a holding midfielder out, you just take that attacking midfielder out. Keep the wings, the two strikers.
Mm-hmm.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So it's going to be It's going to be a 6-month loan. Should be.
Sorry, go ahead.
Manager on FIFA. 6-month loan for around about 1.8 million euros. And it's going to have an option for an extra year, which is going to be based on whether we get Champions League and him hitting certain personal targets, most likely appearances. That's what Pietro's told us. So I think this, again, low risk, low cost in relative terms, and potential high reward.
Yeah, he's won everything there is to win. He's won the Champions League with Bayern Munich. He's won Serie A countless times. He's won La Liga, I believe, as well. I mean, what hasn't he accomplished? He's a great player.
I think it's a proper statement of intent from the management, even though it's a free signing. Just bringing him in like he is a serial winner. And I was looking on Twitter, you're looking at other fan bases like Inter's fan base, Juve's fan base. They're scared now that we've got Mandzukic because it just takes us up that extra level now in terms of
before we got Ibra,
the mentality, the skill side.
Before we had Ibra, fans wanted Mandzukic because they're so similar anyways. Now it's like we doubled up, It's a great signing. Very happy, very excited. It's cool that we're the only club in Milan that actually can pay the prices we promised for players, and yet we're still getting them for free.
Wild.
Throw that out there.
Yeah, Inter are in real trouble. Like, I've said it on Twitter. I don't think we're talking here about them having to sell their best players. I think we're talking they're in real trouble of points deduction, of what comes from not being able to pay what you owe.
Mm-hmm. Well, after 4 months, that's when they begin to do point deductions, correct?
And how long has it been?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's the usual thing, because the only other time it's happened is Parma a few years ago, and they only got 1 point taken off them, which was rubbish. But I think that there might be some leniency this year because so many clubs. Milan were one of the only clubs in Serie A to actually constantly pay their players on time every month. Quite a few clubs have deferred wage payments, and they have to agree with the players. But if the players say yes, then that's great. But if you're looking at like a third of the year without getting your wages, I think some of them are going to start to get a little bit. And you wonder.
Well, and the other thing is they're not paying the clubs their transfer fees. They supposedly owe Madrid everything for the Hakimi deal. I feel like that's got to be worth some sort of penalty. So maybe it would be good if Inter beat Juve and then lose 3 points in deduction. That'd be perfect.
You say what you want about, Inter don't even owe the full 40 mil at the moment for Hakimi. They owe an instalment of it, which makes it even worse if they can't
Right.
find the 5-10 mil they need to pay Real Madrid. Apparently, they've spoken to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid have said it's fine, it can wait until the summer, which is a shame because I wanted them to get arsey about it. But it just goes to show, I think there's going to be other worries. Like, if you think they paid a big fee for Lukaku, if they spread that over multiple years, does that mean that, you know, United haven't got an installment of that payment? You know, and then United might be like, well, we need a long-term striker, we'll have him back because you've not paid for him. I don't know where it'll go, but I hope it isn't as simple as Zhang selling a percentage of the club and then everything's fine because they've got someone who can afford to foot the bill for stuff. I hope it's not.
At the very least, maybe it'll be like a Champions League ban, you know, something like that. That'd be perfect.
FFP wise, they could be in trouble as well. They've built a team that
if they get Champions League and they have all this financial issues, they better not be able to play if they're not paying their players.
Yeah,
you would think. But FFP did say it was going to be, or FFP. UEFA said whoever runs FFP. I don't know why I can't think FIFA.
UEFA.
Whoever it is. Okay, UEFA. They said they were going to be more lenient because of COVID this year. So I don't think that's going to be necessarily a big punishment, but it should be.
This also just goes to show how tight Inter's books actually are.
Yeah, they've stretched them to the max between Conte's wages, these dumb player signings, and yeah, it's stretched.
The Inter fans sort of have been poking fun and saying, "Oh, Milan 195 million euros, we have way less losses than you," which they do. They've got the Champions League revenue, but first of all, that isn't what it should have been because they haven't had any match day income because all the games have been behind closed doors. And secondly, we have zero outstanding debt, and Inter have 600 million.
Well, and their Champions League revenue is only group stage, which is the least amount you could get. So
they're in trouble. I think we're going to see more and more about that. The club actually released an official statement saying that they weren't looking at selling any, which for me is as good as a confirmation that they are, because they've acknowledged the rumours and have said we need to nip this in the bud. But B, I think it shows pretty crippling insecurity on their part. I think there's some panic going on within, you know, the ownership group there. So we'll see. It's not Sempre Inter podcast. So we'll move on. But Mandzukic, Mandzukic, I like it. I was 50-50 at first, and I put a tweet out and basically said, "Oh, somebody try sell it to me that this is a good idea." And I didn't mean it like I think it's a bad idea. I sort of wanted to see a positive stream of why Mandzukic is exactly who we should go out and sign. And it got about 60 odd replies. And I was obviously convinced by the end. I think his experience is going to be vital. We saw what an injection of experience could do in the last January window when we got Ibra and Kier. I think we do still need a deputy to Ibra, even though Leao has kind of filled in that role a little bit and has shown some positive performances. I think just having someone who, it's not a case of, you know, bringing Mandzukic on with 20 minutes to go. I think it's more a case of like in the Cup and in the Europa League, we could start Mandzukic and give Ibra that rest that he needs, and that's important because of the role he'll do tactically. The best thing I've heard about it, though, is that
even when Europa League games aren't going on, we're still going to have 2 games a week, right? The midweek game and then the weekend game. So, I mean, even right there, at the very least, start Mandzukic, bring Ibra on late if you need to, but it gives them both rest.
Yeah. The best thing that I've heard so far is pretty much everyone. Calcio Mercato said Ibra is happy that he's joining. He likes the idea of adding another determined, experienced player. Good, that's a tick. Mandzukic turned down lots of offers because he only wanted to join us. Was desperate to come back to Serie A and prove that he can still do it, which is also great. And he also says
he wants to win trophies, and we're the easiest path right now.
Probably more so than he had offers from clubs in Turkey and stuff that might have been able to pay decent wages. Don't know, but he wanted us. That's the bottom line.
What are the wages that we're giving him again?
1.8 for 6 months.
That's so cheap. That's so cheap.
Yeah. For a striker, it is.
Yeah.
Third thing is that he thinks that he'll amaze the medical staff with his condition because he's been training every day still.
That's a total Zlatan thing to say.
Right.
He's got a point to prove and all, hasn't he? Because the way that he left Juventus and they kind of like threw him out, he's going to want to prove that he can do it in Europe, in the league, and winning the Scudetto with us just kind of shuts him up and proves a massive point. And he's got a big ego that will make him want to do
that. So quickly before I forget, because of the nature of the scheduling and stuff, it's all over the place. We will actually play Atalanta as well before we record next. So we'll have a couple of games to recap in that sense. This one I think is going to be difficult because I'm presuming that we'll still be without Hakan and Teo. So we'll probably be forced to go with like Donnarumma, Calabria, Kier, Romagnoli, Dallo. I think Benacer will be back, which should be good. Benacer and Kessié, as Chuck's just kicking off there at the idea of Dallo being at left back. Which is fair. Salamakers will be back, that's fine. So then it's Brahim, Leao, and Ibra. So that's not a bad lineup. Like, it gives us a chance of getting a result, definitely, against Atalanta, who just haven't quite been as consistent this season. It
also gives, like, playing Cagliari first gives us a chance to warm up with having Çalhanoğlu and Teo out, you know, and then a much harder game next.
Yeah.
I like the lineup. Romagnoli's a yellow card away from suspension, so tomorrow it all depends as long as he can stay without getting booked. Then.
Would you play Kalulu tomorrow?
I personally play Kalulu on Saturday against Atalanta just for his pace at the back.
Yeah, because Zapata and they're annoying at Atalanta. They're a real tough team to play against because they've got so much pace and technical ability in the forward group, but they don't have Papu anymore, who always puts in man of the match performances against us. So
this may be a stupid question. If we bench Romagnoli, does that take his yellow card count down? Or
no, it just means that
no, he just can't get one.
If we play him tomorrow, for example, what it means is if he gets booked tomorrow, he'll miss the Atalanta game. But if we don't play him tomorrow, then he'll be available guaranteed for the Atalanta game because he can't get a yellow if he's not playing. So
I knew that, but I wasn't sure like if we willingly benched him.
It resets though, doesn't it, after the Atalanta game?
After the Atalanta game, yeah.
Yeah, so 19 rounds. So if you can just not get yellow carded tomorrow, then we're laughing.
I think, again, it's one of them, if we secure the game, we just bring him off after like 60 minutes, get Kalulu on fresh legs, and
that would be nice.
Sure he's ready for.
Do you know, it's weird. This time last season, we'd been talking about if we can win against a team, we should win. And now it's like, how quickly can we secure the game?
Yeah.
It's when, not if. But I don't want to jinx it. I might have just jinxed it there.
With Atalanta, we've only won once in our last 10 games against them, so that's in Serie A, so that has me a little bit nervous. 1 win in 10 against them.
That's because they've been really good the past 5 years or so.
And we've been really shitty, so...
It's just
Gasperini, you say what you want about Gasperini, but he always has our number no matter who the coach has been in the last 3 years. So, obviously, purely the precedent's pretty bad, the 5-0 that we had. So we drew 1-1 with them back end of last season when we had literally no one. We had to field a pretty bad defence for that game, and we ended up getting a 1-1 draw, which wasn't bad. So I'm optimistic. I don't think we'll lose the game, but my prediction would probably be a 1-1 draw.
That's weak. I'm going to go 2-0 win for us with Mandzukic brace.
Why is Mandzukic? Is he starting?
Probably not.
To
be honest, Maddie, we don't know yet if he's starting because it is a while away.
He's technically not even a player, so...
Yeah, he's not signed yet.
Fuck you guys.
I'm going to go
2-1 win.
I'm going to go 3-2. I think there's going to be goals in that game.
I would like that.
Our defence has been weak a lot this season, and their attack's just getting... Although they haven't scored against Genoa today, their attack is quite strong. So
I think it could be another game like the Lazio game.
Yeah, Lazio game, Roma game. I think there will be. We'll make a defensive mistake. I'm going to go 3-2.
Like it. And then one more signing that we need to talk about. I think we'll have probably more information on this by the next time we record. Hopefully both Mandzukic and this guy will sign. But looks like we're not getting Simakan anymore. To quickly summarise what's gone on there, he played against RC Lens and got, or Lens, however you say it in French, and he got taken off with a knock to his knee that didn't appear to be anything problematic. His agent even messaged me to say that he wasn't injured and that he was still going to move in January, and then had a scan the morning after, and it came back that he has to have an arthroscopy on his knee, which is basically just a small surgery, but he'll be out for 2 months, 6 weeks to 2 months. So we've decided we need the reinforcements now, rightly or wrongly. I know Jan thinks wrongly. So we're going for Tomori on loan until the end of the season with an option to buy, which is set at 30 mil. How do we feel?
Happy, although the price is a bit high. Go ahead, John.
My opinion's totally changed actually the last couple of days. I think the management, they're clearly looking at a centre-back, and it's clear that we want one, and I actually think Tomori, out of the ones who've been definitely linked to him, Simikan, Bade, and Tomori's the best one. He's a very good defender.
Tomori is good, yeah. And if you ask any Chelsea fan, they will say they don't know what's gone on this season. Lampard, there's rumours of attitude problems or whatever. I personally think it's just he's been a victim of selection and stuff. You look at Zuma. Tomori's not yet at Zuma's level. Zuma's an absolute beast of a centre-back. But then also they're paying like Thiago Silva big wages. Lampard even seems to prefer Rudiger and Christensen at the moment to Tomori, which I don't think is a reflection on Tomori's quality or lack of. I think
it's a lack of experience in their squad. I think they simply need someone more experienced, and Rudiger's been around the game longer.
I don't think Lampard is that great at man management. That's my theory, and he's treated the player badly, and maybe Tomori has thrown a bit of a fit, and he's not happy with it, given how well he played last season, because he did. He played incredibly well last season, considering he was moving up from Derby in the Championship to playing for one of the top clubs. I am very confident. I'll go on record, very confident that he will get games with us and he will rekindle his form. And my hot take of the episode is that 30 million buyout might seem high, but what we see of him will have fans thinking maybe we should just pay it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said the same thing for Bakayoko, that the 25 mil was too high. And then by the end of the season, everyone's like, why the hell aren't we activating this, Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we're going to activate it, because the buyout was at 29 and the loan was at 1 for a total of 30. I could see us just kind of saying, okay, sure, getting him in for the season, and then in the summer, maybe trying to negotiate a cheaper fee or find someone else. But I don't think we pay the full amount.
I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll try and negotiate the fee downwards.
I think we'll end up paying the fee for the simple fact the big clubs in England, they need English players in the squad to fulfil the squad rights at the start of the season, and give him 2 years in Italy, that price, if it hits his potential, it'll just skyrocket, and then you'll have like Man City or Man United, Liverpool coming in who will double that money with ease, and they'll be looking more at English players now that the UK has left Europe, because they'll only be able to sign a certain amount of non-European players and stuff like that. So I think if we bring him in, I think we'll pay the 30 million, and then because he's English and because Premier League likes other players, I think we can easily recruit like 50, 60 million off him in a couple of years if it hits his potential.
Elliott seemed to be able to justify making the investments like we did on Leal on young players with talent, because you can always get at least some resale from players that are young. And I think Jan's right. I think he'll be worth potentially double if he comes here and does well. I think there's definitely a chance we can negotiate the buyout down, especially if Tomori comes here and really enjoys it and thinks that he's improving as a player. If you look at Smalling, for example, people, when the Smalling to Roma thing happened, were like, don't get that at all. What a random signing that is for Roma. And for me, like, when he's healthy, he's become one of the league's better centre-backs. And I think Tomori could come here, enjoy it, be convinced to stay. And another thing you've got to bear in mind is that we were talking before about signing a player in this window for 18, 20 million in Simikan. Whereas in the summer, we might have that extra 10 million because we'll know if we're in the Champions League or not. So we might then be like, yeah, we've got the money, let's keep this guy. Yeah. Like the budget's 18 mil for now, but what we're doing by getting him in on loan with option is deferring the payment. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy.
I also think he's worth more than Simikan. I think he's a better player, and I think the injury to Simikan is almost a blessing in disguise. I know you said you don't think it's serious, but to have orthoscopic surgery, I mean, they're looking for something. They don't know what's wrong, but they know something is wrong. You get in there, they find it. I bet this injury is more serious than he thinks.
I think they just said it was slightly damaged tissue. So I don't know if that will be a problem moving forward. A lot of people
it's
said
still
stay
not
clear.
worth buying an injured player. We've been screwed on that in the past.
I agree.
So
he's going to Leipzig now. I'm fairly sure.
Yeah,
I'm fairly sure. Even though his agent did message and say we're still trying to get something done for July. I think since then we've got the option inserted into the Tomori deal. So I think we know that he's probably not going to be around in July. So
I think it's a dodge bullet. I mean, we sent a jet out for him in the summer. That didn't go ahead, and then now he's got injured. We haven't gone from it. I think it's just a sign from above to say this guy isn't the one for us.
Mm-hmm.
Move on, bring someone else in.
Tomori wants to come as well, which is really good. I know Simakan probably did too, but Tomori, like, for him at the age of 22, 23, for him to be like, yes, I want to move countries. I want to go and prove my worth elsewhere. I think that's good. Right.
And the Euros are around the corner, aren't they? Not that he's probably got a shot at getting in it, but if he has a really good 6 months, wins the league, win the
line.
Have
you seen England's defence? It's crap.
Yeah, I was going to say, Harry Maguire's going to start, and who else? Who else would start over him? Maguire, and then who's the other centre back?
Stones at the minute.
Stones, I think Stones will probably get in. He's certainly rediscovered his form.
Connor Cody's looking like a potential
town legend. Connor Cody. There's some good underrated centre-backs like Tarkowski, but we'll talk about that. Never. Matt Robson. Question time now. Matt Robson, because we're on the subject, I'll ask this first. Thoughts? I think this is aimed at me because Jan, despite sounding as Yorkshire as I do, doesn't consider himself to be English. Thoughts on us potentially signing an Englishman? I've been supporting since 2016, so we've never had an English player playing while I've been a fan, while Jan and Ollie have seen Beckham. Thoughts on having an Englishman in the side? Well, he's half Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah, I didn't want to crush Matt's dreams there, but he's technically a Canadian, so
I like it because he's different. It ain't going to get the same media attention as it did when Beckham came over. I remember that being one of the things that cemented my early love for the club, because Beckham was one of my favourite players, and he really is an English football icon. Tomori isn't quite there yet, but I'm looking forward to it because it potentially gives us some interesting media opportunities.
Yeah,
to have an actual English player, for us as a brand, as a website, to be able to reach out and be like,
well, he might. That's how you guys talk.
Mate. There's no Carlin in Italy, mate. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know for the other three, it probably doesn't mean an awful lot, but I hope that what it does is, shows once again that the Premier League to Serie A is something that can work as a move for players. Because if you look at the players that have come over, like I mentioned, Smalling, mentioned Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez has refound some form. Ashley Young hasn't even done that bad. Mkhitaryan, that is a good avenue for players to go down, because I think
Fazio was really good for Roma as well when he came from Tottenham.
Yeah, I think it's good, like you said, for media coverage to have an English player playing out in Italy, like they've got Sancho in Germany. We'll see it over here, how much coverage like the German league gets and Dortmund get just from having Sancho there. A young English player like Tomori at Milan will be on the news over here every week. How's he doing? This, that, and it'll just be nice. And then it'll obviously open up a load of doors, like young English fans will start seeing, Serie A Milan, they're doing well, they've got an English player there, and they'll start looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's right. I think it's positive.
I think the effect is smaller with a defender than it would be if he was an attacking player, but absolutely, I think that's all valid.
Yeah. Rohit Rajiv asks, Singo to Milan in the summer, yes or no? Now, the reason I wanted to ask this is because he's a player who's been getting a lot of media attention in the last few years, because Torino are a tyre fire of a side at the moment, but he's the one who really sticks out as being something very special and very talented. I think when you consider that we don't really know the situation that we're going to have down the wings going into next season, with obviously Dallo on loan and a lot of pieces up in the air, yes is my answer. Yes, if the deal was affordable. But we know what Cairo's like to deal with. Yes, we got the Meite thing done, but it's because he was a player who's been ostracised, really. It won't be easy to deal with them for a player like that, and I think there'll be a lot of competition from other Italian clubs. So
yeah, if the opportunity's there,
I'd like to play.
If the opportunity's there, go for it. I don't think it will be, for the reasons you just stated. But John pointed out Singo before the first Torino game, said this is the player to watch, and so I paid attention. And you're absolutely right. I think obviously we neutralized him in both games, but he showed those little flashes of brilliance, and I liked him.
You've just scored.
If Torino go down, I think it'll make it a lot easier. And I think if we don't
was offside.
a lot, then we'll get Singer. I think we'll go for it because he's a very good young talent.
Get Meite to put in a good word as well. So this one comes from I Love Cagliari. Hey guys, hope all is well. We're linked to Talvin for the summer, but do you guys think we should get Orsolini in the summer since we are investing more in young talent? I think Orsolini is a really hit and miss player. Me and Isaac often disagree on Orsolini. I think when he hits, he's pretty good and he works incredibly hard. But now I think that ship's sailed.
I'm not a fan.
But it's like Berardi.
A couple of years ago, I think it'd have been a good signing, but he's a bit like Berardi. He's a bit like Chiesa. He is hit and miss. Like when he's on form, he's unplayable, but then when he's not, you just think, why have I signed him?
If he is, if he would come in and replace Castillejo, he would absolutely do a better job. But because I just think he fits our system a lot more. But because the fee involved would just be too much anyway. I think you go for someone more established.
And if the rumors of what the Marseille president said today are true, then we might even get Dalvin this month instead of over the summer anyway. So it's like, what's the point of going for someone else?
That's the Marseille president saying we need to start cashing in on these because obviously the French league rights, TV rights have gone, haven't they? So I think that wait till deadline day, a couple of days before, and I think that we'll get the Turban deal done.
Yeah, well, he gave an ultimatum supposedly. He said, you have 48 hours to renew or 13 days to find a new club. So we're right here. We found you.
Inter just scored.
Yeah, Vidal scored as well, which is brilliant after him kissing the badge before the game.
I was going to say he's going to run up to Chiellini, kiss the badge. It's live commentary for a game that doesn't matter.
Anyway, moving on. Simon, be interested to hear whether you guys think that Maldini and Colombo will get more first-team minutes in the second half of the season. I don't think so, to be totally honest. I think we're now in a position where every game's important, even Europa League, obviously Coppa Italia, and it's knockout football. So I don't see where their minutes come unless we're dominating in a lot of games.
Yeah. If we're either yards ahead or yards behind, then that's the only chance to get minutes. Colombo's not going to see any minutes.
Well, even in Europa League, if we win the bit in the first leg by a very large margin, I could see them playing in the second leg for at least a half.
Yeah.
I think Maldini gets more minutes because we've seen him feature a lot more than we have Colombo. I don't think the club are fully convinced on Colombo, and I reckon he'll go out on loan in this market. And then with Roback potentially being in the squad tomorrow, it'd be interesting to see who gets the minutes out of Roback and Colombo. If Roback, say, for example, comes on tomorrow, I think that's a pretty good indication that Colombo...
I hope he does.
Yeah, I hope he does.
Zlatan loves him.
I personally am not a fan of Colombo. I just don't really see it in him. But I do think Maldini will get the minutes.
The thing with Colombo, I suppose, is he is literally 18 like that. He's incredibly young to be thrown into first team football. I know it's sink or swim and he's played some lesser opponents, but don't use the Donnarumma example. I knew that's what you were going to do. I knew that's what you were going to do. Colombo needs to go out on loan, but Daniel Maldini won't because it's simple. We don't want him to have another club. Yeah. He's
getting minutes, and when he is coming on, he's showing a couple of glimpses, and I think it'd be nice to see him more and more get full half and then 60 minutes and stuff like that. It would be nice to see. But we're packing out, testing positive, I think Diaz comes off tomorrow and resting for Atalanta halfway through, 60 minutes in. Maldini gets a bit more time.
I would love to see it.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing Hauger tried as an attacking midfielder because he played there against us in second half and he was good. He scored that screamer from 25 yards. But we'll see. He's got his ideas, no doubt. Fatero asks, Tamani Mandzukic and Meite, how do you rate the market so far at 10 and what more do we need to contend for the Scudetto? I wouldn't go hell for leather to get any more players after those three because I think if you bring in 5 players, you're at risk of upsetting the balance a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm pretty happy with those 3. I think they're targeted and wise economic investments. So I'd definitely give it a 7 out of 10 with potential
unless we
for
can
it
get
to increase.
Duvin, or however the hell you say his name.
Talvin. Yeah.
Because if we're going to get him in the summer, regardless, then there's, get him in early, have him get some chemistry with the squad, But I wouldn't go overboard like you said and try and bring in some big name players and just completely upset the.
I think the Talvin
room.
thing depends exclusively on if we get an offer for Castillejo. I think the two things need to line up. Otherwise, there's genuinely not really much
How about
point
just do a
having
swap?
I'd like that, but it seems like Castillejo only has a market in Spain. Seems like it's only Spanish clubs that want him. So we'll see. I think he'll come in the summer. I really do. If you were to consider, okay, part of our January business is that we locked up a really good right winger on a free for the summer, then you could probably knock it up another point or two. But yeah, I think
I'll rate it. And this might cause a bit of controversy. I'm going to give it a 6.5 until we've got Conte fully out the door, and until we've got Donnarumma and Hacken signed.
Yeah, that's
like
part
the contract
of the
renewals
well.
done. That is January transfer for me. So once them two have done, then it shoots up to a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. But until they're signed, it just gets me a bit worried.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think Maddie and John, everything you guys said, just pretend I said it.
Nailed it. Luciano Perani asks, a lot of people, including me, see Leao more as a striker than a winger, and his performances at striker are better than his performances on the left wing. Do you agree, and does that eliminate our need for an Ibra deputy?
I agree. If Ibra can stay next year, or maybe even stay on as like a coach, I would totally be okay with Leao taking his spot.
Ibra did a good interview, by the way, midweek, where he said that he said again, basically, as long as he feels fit enough, he will stay. So I think that pretty much confirms that we'll offer him a new deal.
I still think we need a deputy. I mean, Leao, I love him, and I do think he'll be a very good striker in a couple of years. But to lead the line and with Ibra not there at all, it's going to be tough, and we'd need that deputy. That's why I think we've got Mandzukic in, just to ease that transition. If we keep him for another 12 months after the summer, and then slowly start easing Leao even more into that striker role, then but I do think that we.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to pay big money for a striker to come in if you want Leao to be the starting striker in 2 or 3 seasons, because you don't want to piss off Leao and make him want to leave, but you want him to continue to develop. I've
changed my opinion on this entire thing from before, because I've said constantly we need to pick a position for Leao and let him develop in that, because otherwise he's never going to hit his true potential. But now I'm like, maybe a player can play 2 positions quite well, and maybe we don't have to absolutely make a definitive call on where he plays, especially at the age of 21. So I think we have Leao as somebody who can play as a centre forward if we need something a bit different, even though I still think we're built to have a target man, but also can play as a very good left winger. And he says he doesn't mind where he plays, so we should listen to that.
Yeah, I think we already have a deputy Ibra in Mandzukic. I think that's what we just signed him for. And then I think if Zlatan doesn't renew, then we find someone that Mandzukic will be the new deputy of, because I don't think Mandzukic is going to be a starter at any point, at least not outright, but I think he's there to be that deputy Ibra role. And then when Ibra's gone, Mandzukic will have another year in him, and he'll be deputy to whoever we get at that point. But as far as deputy Ibra, we have him. He's there.
I think we've signed Mandzukic for the bastard factor, to be honest.
They're almost identical. Obviously, Ibra's way better, but they play the same way.
Ibra wins you a game before the 80th minute. Mandzukic is going to be that player that comes on and wins us a game in the last 10 minutes with that bastardy roll, that one that you can just put the ball in the box, he'll knock it down, all that kind of stuff. I think that's.
I know that
it's a bowling ball. Yeah,
I know that's aimed at England's bloody World Cup exit in the semi-finals when Mandzukic came on and scored. Anyway, Rossoneri, Swedish podcast, asked, "What do you think about using Tomori as a backup centre back instead of our own Matteo Gabbia?" Because Gabbia's going to be back mid-February.
I don't think we have another option.
So we have to use him until then. But I think what he's saying is more when Gabbia's back, should we really prioritise minutes for the player we don't own over one who?
Yes,
I think we're going to find out.
I think if we want to win trophies, we have to play whoever's better.
Tomori's going to be our third choice centre back, and I think he's going to be the deputy taker. If he adapts well to Serie A, then we'll buy him in the summer, and then we'll make that transition between Chier and Tomori. And I think Kalulu is ahead of Gabia, in my opinion, in the pecking order, just from the way that his performance has been.
I think
I like Gabia, don't get me wrong, but I just think Kalulu has brought it up a level, and he adds a bit more to the team.
I think Kalulu is going to take over the right back position here shortly.
I think Kalulu is going to take over the world. He's got that much potential. He's really good. Now, there's no joking there. Leon were gutted to lose him. I know he's only 20. He hasn't played a senior game. That, to me, makes it even more remarkable. We paid $500K for him, and I reckon he's already worth an awful lot more than that, even from just a handful of appearances. But the fact that he looks like a veteran good signs, when he's on the pitch.
He does, yeah. He looks like
without having played a senior game before, moving to a new country, embracing new culture in a very difficult time, and then to just get thrown out there. Remember, we didn't even really. He didn't. It was the Palm. What game was it? Was it the Parma game when he came on after a few minutes? It's like, there you go. There's your baptism of fire, and he responded very, very well whenever something's been asked of him. So yeah.
If you guys go back and watch an episode from over the summer before the season started, I predicted that Kalulu would be a starter by the end of the year. So hopefully that happens. Looks like he's on course.
I remember that.
Very quick question.
You don't remember that, Matty?
I said, how do you remember that?
Oh, because it was my prediction. I got my credibility on the line.
I don't know. I think my credibility is pretty shot after my prediction.
Oh, yeah. Please, the
remind everyone, what was yours?
We want a rating from for the Evertonian.
Do you see Romagnoli staying in the summer, or if a good offer comes in, do you reckon will sell?
Sell.
Because obviously, we would sell him. We want the armband to go to Donnarumma, but we can't just strip him because Romagnoli doesn't deserve to be stripped, but Donnarumma deserves to be captain. So I think the only way around that conundrum is to sell him if an offer comes through. And if Tomori's great and we activate that, then there's your replacement right there. Plus we got Gabia, plus we got Kalulu.
I think we're in trouble when it comes to Romagnoli's renewal because I think he's going to request a pay rise that he just quite simply hasn't earned.
Do you think he's a Champions League player? That's where I'm kind of going with it.
We don't know.
We don't, but from what we've seen, I don't think he is.
I think he's been better.
He kind of disappears in big games.
He does. He disappeared against Juve, and that pissed me off. Because it's like every time we're like, right, this is it. Prove to us that you've made big strides and you can compete with the top centre forwards, and just want there. But then even Teo had a bad game that game, so we don't know. I think Romagnoli's probably got until the end of the season because his deal runs out in 2022. But I don't think anyone is offering big money for a player like him. And I think if we get a bid, we'll be surprised when it's 15, 20 mil.
What if instead of paying Tomori's release clause, we just throw in Romagnoli and a little bit of money as a offer?
Genuinely see it happening.
Yeah.
To be fair,
do you send your captain away?
Well, you play it off as if that's what Chelsea asked.
We did it with Bonucci.
Like, what about this? I mean, that's different. He wasn't a real captain.
Little bitch.
I love Romagnoli too, but we talk about he's supposed to be the leader on the pitch, and Donnarumma's more vocal than him, and then you can say, he's a silent leader, but the silent leaders are like Hakan and Kessie. Romagnoli just doesn't seem to.
Listen,
we lead by example with your performances.
We owe Romagnoli nothing. We owe him nothing. We haven't won anything. He's our captain, yes, but
Yeah. Right, last question, because I'm conscious of time, comes from Marco Villejo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope he tells us if we're not. What's the latest with AJ's love interest from the gym?
I knew
this could be our Love Island segment of the.
Yeah. No, it's not even really a love interest. I don't know. There's just some cute girl at the gym that flirts with me every time I'm there, and she wasn't there yesterday, but there was a significantly hotter girl there yesterday. I didn't talk to her, but I saw that one. I was like, hey, let's trade on up.
What if the girl watches the podcast? And now you just said that.
You want to be a host? Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting on for diversity. Yeah, that's great stuff. Cheers, lads. I've forgotten how to sign it off. Oh, yeah. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. Been joined by Anthony Torgrud.
Find me on Twitter, Torgrud45. Go ahead, Maddie.
Yeah, Edward __Toth.
At UK_AC Milan.
You're getting better at that.
Excellent.
Great. So you're getting better at yours too, Maddie. You said yours without any stuttering this time. It's the first time since you changed it.
Hey, man, I've been working on my speech. Don't we have like a SempreMilan store or something that we should talk about?
I'm just about to say a couple more things to plug. First of all, the website, obviously, aiming to be the best at keeping up to date with all the market news. Obviously, it's a busy month, so if you go there, Mercato blog, bang, you can see all the transfer news and stuff. That's good. There's also a link on there for the SempreMilan shop. If not, you'll find it in our pinned tweet. So you can go there and buy any merchandise like T-shirts, hoodies, whatever, down to stationery, mugs. We've got all kinds of stuff. And we've got a new design coming out very soon, inspired by the man on the back of this shirt. I'm not going to turn around, but Kaká design coming out soon, which a lot of people have requested. So looking forward to that. And follow us at SempreMilan TV if you haven't already, because we're going to be moving the video content and stuff more over to that now and have that as a separate media thing with podcast clips and stuff. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, everybody. We will be back in a week's time and hopefully we have 2 wins to recap.
Andrea Conti, bella palla per Rebic, Ibra, Rebic, il tiro, gol!